Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is grade 6. We are in Unit 7, and this is Lesson 13. This is the first part of Lesson 13, and we're going to be talking about understanding liquid volume, which is also called capacity, and weight, units of measure. And we're going to be thinking about both in the metric system and in the American Standard System. So you might be saying, like, holy cow, what is she doing with all those groceries? Did she just go to the grocery store and hasn't put them away yet? And the answer is actually no. I took them out of my pantry and brought them and stuck them on the table. So that's kind of funny. My husband asked, "What are you doing with that?" I said, "Well, it's either making a math video or a really awkward breakfast." I don't know. So the reason that I assembled all of these as well as our measuring cups is because we're going to be talking about two different kinds of measuring. Measuring how much stuff can fit into something, which is volume. And in this case, it's liquid volume we're talking about, which is different than we've sometimes studied about sort of how much volume can fit in a box or something solid. This is liquid volume, capacity. Liquid capacity, and then also weight. And so I went into the pantry and tried to see what are stores selling by volume and what are they selling by weight. And it was interesting to me because some of them I guessed and I just said, "Oh, I bet that's it." And I pulled it off and said, "Yep, that's right." And some of them I was wrong on. So that's intriguing. Now, that is one of the reasons that when you take a box of cereal or a bag of chips, you know what happens. You open it up, and what do you see? Well, let's open it up here. We expect to see a full box, right? But actually, if you've opened cereal before, you're not expecting a full box. Because look what happens. We open it up, it's brand new. Yeah, it's only part, so it looks like it's about, I don't know, maybe 3/4, 2/3 full. And same thing with chips. We open a bag of chips, and there's like half of them in there. And you think, like, how does that even work? Like, how do they sell it like that? And sometimes, even on the box, it will say sold by weight, not volume. So that is an interesting question for us. What are they trying to say, sold by weight instead of volume? So today we're investigating the different metric and American Standard measures of liquid volume and of weight, and we're going to see if we can figure out what the difference is and what they mean. So just like you always hear me say, please, 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 you play with math too. Don't just wait for me to play with math or watch me play with math. So do what I just did. Well, get your family permission first, but ask your family, can I go into our pantry or whatever you call wherever you keep your food? And it doesn't have to be the same things I've got. It can be anything at all. And look, and here's what you're looking for. So SpaghettiOs, take a look. When you look right down at the bottom, right there, you see it says net WT, net weight. So this is actually sold by weight. And how much does it weigh? It weighs 15.6 ounces or 443 grams. So it tells you both measurements, both units of measure, metric and American Standard, and it tells us that this is sold by weight. So those ounces are weight ounces, and grams always mean weight. The ounces are tricky. Sometimes they mean volume, like liquid volume, capacity. Sometimes they mean weight. In this case, it says net weight. WT means weight. So that means this is sold by weight. Now, you might say, okay, well, what about evaporated milk? What do you think that might be sold by? Liquid volume or weight? Well, I thought it was going to be liquid volume because it's milk, it's a liquid. So I went looking and thought it was going to be liquid volume. Look what it says. 12 FLOZ. FL means fluid, and OZ is the abbreviation for ounces. So it is liquid volume. They're selling how much volume of liquid is how much they're selling. They're selling 12 fluid ounces. It's also 354 milliliters. Milliliters is the metric way to talk about how much liquid can go into something, can fill it up. Milliliters is always used for liquid volume capacity. So if you see milliliters, even if you don't see FL, fluid ounces, you know that that's a fluid ounce measure. So I was right on that one. Now, look at all of these and say, can you just think like, well, what about pretzels? Do you think they're sold by fluid ounces or milliliters, or do you think they're sold by weight, by pounds or ounces or grams? Well, they're pretzels, so it kind of makes sense that they would be sold by 16 ounces. Again, ounces can mean how heavy it is or the volume that it can fill up, but this says net weight, 16 ounces. So that's a measure of weight. And it also says 1 pound, so it also equals 1 pound. And it also says 454 grams. So it tells us all the different ways we might want to know how heavy this is. And it says they sell this by how heavy it is. So they add pretzels into the bag until it gets to this amount of weight. So till it gets to 1 pound, till it gets to 454 grams. And then they stop putting pretzels in and they close it up. That's why when this bag was fresh and open, it wasn't all the way filled up. They didn't care how far it was filled up. They just wanted to fill it up until it was 1 pound because that's how they want to sell it. So pause this video and go in your house and find anything at all, and you're looking for both. You're looking for things sold by weight. They say net weight, and they'll have ounces or pounds and grams. Then go and see if you can find something sold by volume, by liquid volume. Start with things that are liquid. That's a really good way to check. Something like a gallon of milk. Well, you hear it's gallon. That might also already tell you, but it might not. Look all around and see what you can find. Then come back. Okay, welcome back. Did you find anything interesting? I hope you did. I found a couple that really surprised me. Here's one of them. Barbecue sauce. It's liquid, right? We pour it out. We put it on barbecue. We put it on chicken, ribs, whatever, but it's liquid, right? I thought for sure it was going to be fluid ounces. But check this out. Net weight. It's sold by weight. So the amount of barbecue sauce in here is not sold by how much fits into a space, the capacity. It's sold by how heavy it is. So that was interesting to me. That was one that I found that really surprised me. Did you find any that surprised you? The other thing that I thought might have given you some trouble is this. I first grabbed this and said, oh, I'm going to go and show this. This will be good because it's juice. We're going to think for sure it's going to be either milliliters or fluid ounces. And I looked all over on the package and I couldn't find any information. Did that happen to you? Did you find anything where it didn't say? And you thought, that's weird. Maybe some stuff doesn't just say. It has to say. That's actually a law. But sometimes it doesn't necessarily say on the individual thing. Like this, it might say not labeled for individual sale. What that means is we're not going to write all the information on this little package because you can't just buy this little package. You have to buy this. So here it does say, so it even tells you, there's 10 6 fluid ounce or 177 milliliter pouches. So it has to tell you that's actually a rule about selling food, but it might not have told you on an individual thing. So if you found like an individual granola bar or pack of fruit snacks or an individual like this, it might not have said. And if you did and you got a little frustrated and said, well, how come my teacher sent me to do this and it's not there? You have to actually sometimes look on the big container. Okay, so let's talk about the kinds of the names of measurements for our different systems. So the top is fluid volume. The top is capacity. In our American Standard System, we use fluid ounces, FL, and it's abbreviated OZ, but also FLOZ, fluid ounces. Cups, we just abbreviate with a C. Pints, usually a PT. Quarts, QT or QTS if it's quarts. And gallons, G. Now, it's good to have some general ideas of those measurements. Just like when we were doing measurements in distance, it's good to have a general thing, picture in your mind of how much that is. Also this. So let's talk about that. Well, if you've ever seen a measuring cup like this, it's a 1 cup measuring cup. That's how much a fluid ounces is 8 ounces is 1 liquid cup. And we know this is a liquid measuring cup because you can see it has a little pouring thing. It's got space, so we can measure all the way up to the top. And then also there's a little space extra there so that it's, sloshy milk or water or whatever it may be. And so when we're carrying it, and then also we can carefully pour it. So that's why it's built like that. That's why it looks like that. So if you have this is a really good way to just have in your mind about how much a cup is. Also, the milk cartons that we get at school, and I don't have those tiny milk cartons, I wish I had one, those are also 1 cup. So if you think about how much milk you drink, maybe at lunch or breakfast in those little school milk containers, that's 1 cup. So easy way to remember how much 1 cup is. What about a pint? If you've ever seen a measuring cup like this with 2 cups, 2 cups is a pint, and it lists 2 cups there. I wish it actually also called it a pint, but there's 2 cups in a pint, so this is a pint. That's why our milk cartons are labeled as 1/2 pint. They're a half a pint, which is 1 cup. So a cup is 2 pints. So this, when I think of a pint, I think of this measuring cup and how much that holds. What about a quart? Well, they used to sell things in quarts a lot, like milk. People would buy a quart of milk or something like that. Oh, I wonder if I have a buttermilk in my fridge. Hold on. All right, cool. I did. Forgotten about this. So people used to buy this size more often. I think less so, unless you're maybe a single person living by yourself and you don't drink a lot of milk, but you need some, or maybe you like chocolate, but just a little, or you need buttermilk like me for pancakes or making different things. We like to make our own dressing, our own salad dressing that sometimes uses buttermilk. So this is the size, this kind of small and tall size that they sell at the grocery store is, you can see that, there we go, is 1 quart, which is also 946 milliliters. So they always show us both systems. Here in the United States, very often you will hear, whenever we're talking about food or those sorts of things, you'll hear the directions, you'll hear things referred to in our American standard system. But first of all, we also sell and buy products from outside the United States, maybe to Canada, to Mexico, all around the world, and they use the milliliters. So in this case, it's milliliters. So that's also listed. You don't need to read both at one time. You just need to know which system you're wanting to figure it out. So there's a quart to have in your mind. I'll put that over there. To have in your mind, there's a quart. Now, gallon, you probably know. Almost all of us know a gallon of milk. We buy milk by the gallons fairly often. So if you're wondering how much a gallon is, it's a jug of milk. So first of all, shout out to Sassy Cow because they're awesome. They've got great milk and great ice cream. We love to go into their store out in Sun Prairie. That's awesome. Okay, so I want to show you, it says 1 gallon. And then I also want to point out that it says it's not quite 4 liters. If you have to convert something from one system to another and it's a larger unit like gallons, it's really helpful to know that a gallon is not quite twice as big as the thing that helps us understand liters. This is sold in a 2-liter bottle. These big sodas are all 2-liter bottles. So 2 liters. Now you might say, why do we sell this in liters? Why is soda in a bottle like this sold in liters, whereas most everything else is sold in our American standard system? I have no idea. But if you find the answer to that, please let me know because it's an intriguing question. Because all of this is all usually, especially we're talking about the volume ones of liquid volume, they're all usually sold in liquid volume in ounces or quarts or gallons, except soda, which is sold in the metric system. Interesting. But this, to a good jug of milk, is about twice as much, just a little bit less than twice as much as 2 of these soda containers. And that can help us sort of when we're thinking about shifting between systems. All right, that's a great segue from the American Standard System of liquid volume, of capacity, to the metric system, milliliters and liters. So, if you are thinking about some kind of a career, either in medicine, any kind of sciences, they very, very often use the metric system. And partly it's because the rest of the world uses the metric system, makes it easier. But if you're thinking of nursing or, sort of microbiology or chemistry, all of those things you're going to be really, really familiar with the metric system. So it's good to start your journey now, start your learning now. So, like I said, this is 2 liters. So if you need to know how much a liter is, you in your mind are just going to say, well, I know that, oh, excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat there. I know that one of these big bottles of soda is 2 liters, so half of that is 1 liter. Now you might be wondering how much 1 milliliter is. This is 2 liters, which is 2,000 milliliters. That's the cool thing about the metric system, is it's based in the base 10 system. So a milliliter is 1/1000th of a liter. So this is 2 liters. This is 2,000 milliliters in there, which is hard to picture what one would even look like. The smallest measure I have at my house is, well, it's hard to tell because I'm tipping that up, but I'm measuring to 15 milliliters. It's that much milk. It's teeny tiny, and that's 15 of them. So you have to cut that in 15 for 1 milliliter. So a milliliter is a pretty tiny amount. That would be more for very delicate situations like doctoring or things in labs or whatever. Mostly we wouldn't use something that was just 1 milliliter or even less than 1 milliliter because it's such a tiny amount. Even this is super tiny. For me to drink, this is 1 swallow of milk. Gone. And that was 15 milliliters. All right, the next part we need to talk about, that was all liquid capacity. Liquid volume. Now we're going to talk about weight. So things that are sold by weight or net weight, as we saw at the beginning. And when you did your search of food, very often it didn't just say the weight, it said NET, net WT, net weight. And it's in our American Standard System, ounces, which are abbreviated OZ, tricky because there's no Z in the word ounces. Pounds, extra tricky because it's abbreviated LB or LBS. There isn't an L or a B in the word. That's extra tricky. Or tons. If things are super heavy, we don't call them pounds, we call them tons, which is 2,000 pounds. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So it's something super heavy. We're talking about like whales or buildings or something like that. We would talk about tons. So that's our system. So you might be saying, okay, but what would that be like? Well, so I went to the deli and bought some turkey. So you can actually see that it's labeled. Ooh, that's hard. There we go. I bought just a tiny, tiny bit more than 1 pound. 1 pound and 1/100th of a pound. It was $7.99/LB. That slash means per, like we've been talking about in so many applications, $7.99 per pound. So for each pound, you have to pay $7.99. And then there's my total price, just a little bit more than that because it was ever so much slightly more than a pound. Now, I happened to get it on sale, so that was kind of a good deal. So I saved a little money there. But this meat is sold by the pound. Same thing with the cheese I bought. So this time I got just ever so slightly less than a pound. It tells it was $7.49 per pound. So when you buy things like at the deli per pound, that's what that looks like. How many ounces are in a pound? Well, you might remember from our pretzels from earlier. There are 16 ounces in 1 pound. That's important to know because it helps you know how much of a pound something is. 16 ounces or 1 pound. Also, if you want to know how heavy 1 pound is, it's a bag of pretzels like this. Now, not like the giant bag and not the teeny tiny like snack size, but if you happen to be at the grocery store or, Quick Trip or something like that, this regular size, kind of regular size that you would take home for your family is 1 pound. So you feel it, lift it, and know how much 1 pound is. Now, you might also be wondering, okay, but how much? I can see how much meat is 1 pound, or I can bag of chips is 1 pound, or bag of pretzels. But how much is 2,000 pounds? How can I remember what a ton is? Well, you can thank Sassy Cow for that, because a ton is about the weight of one cow. Now, it's cattle can weigh anywhere from maybe 1,500 pounds to maybe 2,500 pounds, depending on what kind of cow or bull or whatever may be. But it's easy. It's an easy way for us to remember that 2,000 pounds is about the size of one cow. So if you think about, you see a cow, how much does it weigh? It's about a ton. All right, let's go on to the metric measures of weight. For metric, in the metric system, the measures of weight we use are grams and kilograms. Now, grams are pretty tiny. In fact, I kind of scoured my kitchen to say, what can I show that is a gram? What I came to was sugar cubes. If you've ever seen these, they're super fun. They're just little cubes of sugar. And on the side, very conveniently, it actually lists. Look at this. Serving size is 1 cube, 4 grams. So this 1 cube of sugar is 4 grams. So if you're wondering how much a gram weighs, think about the sugar cube, cut it into 4 pieces, and one of those is 1 gram. So it's pretty tiny. All right. What about a kilogram? Remember, the metric system is based on tens, hundreds, and thousands. So it's 1,000 grams. So how much is a kilogram? Well, it's about twice as much as a pound. So remember me going to the deli and buying a pound of cheese and a pound of turkey. If we put those two together and weigh those two together, it would be 1 kilogram. I hope that's really helpful to help you get in your mind some of these measures, especially the ones we maybe don't use as much. So tomorrow we'll go on to the second part of the lesson, where we start converting between one and another. We find out that there's 2 cups in a pint, 2 pints in a quart, 4 quarts in a gallon, and that sort of thing. We'll talk more about the thousands, the 16 ounces in a pound. We'll do more about that converting if we're given one unit of measure and we need to convert to another. But I hope this has been helpful for you, thinking about units of liquid volume and units of weight. And I do encourage you to please, please, please try some of this stuff out at home. Go investigate about it, because it's not as much fun to sit here and watch me talk about it as it is to look at things and think about them and create your own knowledge about them. See you next time.